The Chiefs just got a horrific update on wide receiver Xavier Worthy, one that might impact his future in the NFL. In this video, I'm going to talk about some pretty heavy subject matter involving claims and allegations of domestic violence. And if that's something that you're not comfortable with hearing, I would suggest clicking off this video because over the next 10 to 15 minutes, we are going to dive headfirst into some pretty shocking allegations. Some allegations that, if they end up being proven true, might mark the end of Xavier Worthy's time in the NFL. He might never play football again if these things end up being proven true. But I will say that Xavier Worthy had the charges dropped on him by the judges down in Texas. He was arrested over this past weekend for domestic violence, but he ended up being released and he is currently not in jail. But I do think that it is worth mentioning and reading this article from TMZ Sports because while right now he's not facing any legal trouble, this is something that is probably going to be an ongoing issue and something that the NFL is going to have to look into. And for a while, it seemed like he might have avoided some disasters, avoided a suspension. The NFL might suspend him if they view this as detrimental to their personal conduct policies. So, again, the material that we're going to be talking about in this video is not good. The allegations are horrific. And with that being said, let's go ahead and dive right into this article from TMZ Sports. The headline: Chiefs Xavier Worthy fiance claims he choke slammed her. Quote, I felt like I was going to die. So, right off the bat, the headline, not good. Let's get into the material in this article. Xavier Worthy's fiance made some shocking claims in her application for a protective order against the NFL star this week, including allegations he choked and beat her on several different occasions. So, for the people that don't know, filing for a protective order is a restraining order. So, his ex fiance or fiance, Tia Jones, is trying to file a restraining order on Xavier Worthy. Now, getting back into this article, TMZ Sports just obtained the court filing, and in it, Tia Jones, who got engaged to Worthy in July of 2024, says the Kansas City Chiefs wideout violently put his hands on her at least 5 different times in the last year. So, again, these are all claims and allegations of domestic violence. We cannot say if these are true or not, but I do want to give this a platform. I do want to talk about it because, as we are going to read in about 15 seconds, not good. Not good at all. She stated in the documents the first incident took place in October of 2024 after the two had quarreled over comments Worthy's mother had made to her. She alleges Xavier got so upset during the tiff, he, quote, pushed me to the ground with two hands. She stated he apologized shortly after. Several weeks later, around Christmas time, Jones claims in the protective order application that Worthy picked her up, slammed her on a bed, and began choking her after they were, quote, arguing over him cheating. He knew about my history of abuse in past relationships, she said, so I was horrified that he would do that. I told him to never do that again. She, though, states that only angered Worthy further, alleging then that he had charged at her and threw her on the ground. She said she sustained a bloody and swollen toe in the altercation and ultimately left his apartment. She said when she came back later, they, quote, ended up talking and he apologized. But she wrote in the docs it wasn't long before he attacked her again. She stated that the two were in a dispute in a closet of one of his Kansas City residence's rooms when he, quote, got tired of what I had to say, grabbed my throat with his left hand and squeezed it, shook me, and threw my head back. Oh man. Quote, my head jerked forward, she said, and I hit my face on the closet door, chipping my bottom tooth, and it hurt really bad. Now, this is a TikTok, a day in the life of Tia Jones. We're not going to watch that. She wrote in the docs the next incident took place around Valentine's Day after the two had gotten into another dispute over his alleged infidelity and subsequent asking of her to leave their house. Quote, he got very upset with me, she wrote. Quote, grabbed my throat with two hands and squeezed, shook me and pushed me away, and then walked away, and I just cried. Jones wrote the last and most recent physical altercation took place on March 7th. So I think that actually would have been this past weekend. Quote, this was the absolute most violent he has ever been, she said. I'm going to read that again. Quote, this was the absolute most violent he has ever been. Again, these are all allegations, these are all claims, but man, this was his mugshot down in Texas. Let's keep talking through this article. Jones, a track and field athlete, stated the issues began in the morning when Xavier got, quote, upset with me because I did not give him and his new dog enough attention the night before after my long day of practice. She said Worthy and her exchanged words, and after she called him a, quote, bitch, he flipped out. Jones says Worthy picked her up and slammed her body against their home's walls, all while yelling, "Get the F out." She says she was only able to break free after pulling his hair. So if we go back to the allegations that, or I guess not the allegations, that Xavier Worthy had his hair pulled out, this would explain that. Again, these are all allegations. I cannot stress that enough. This is not fact. This is not truth. These are the allegations brought forth by Xavier Worthy's fiance, Tia Jones. She says Xavier then followed her and put his hands on her further. Quote, he grabs me by my throat, lifts me off the ground, and slams me on the floor. So he's very consistent in these allegations if these end up being true or false. Jones claims she hit her head so hard during the incident it caused her vision to go blurry. She alleged Worthy eventually calmed down, but she had to cancel her practice because her leg, quote, hurt so bad that I was limping on it. She says Worthy was adamant about her moving out in the hours that ensued. Yet, when she thought they were going to discuss future living arrangements, he allegedly snapped again. She wrote in the documents Worthy threw his keys at her, but missed. Quote, before I could turn around, she stated, Xavier hit me upside my head and pushed me to the ground. Man, Worthy then allegedly took Jones's phone, iPad, and computer and got even more violent. He follows me to the game room and starts tossing me around, choking me and slamming me, she said. He carries me to the garage door. I remember holding onto the wall while he was pulling me, making both my feet come off the ground. He let one of his hands go to open the garage, and then he puts both of his hands around my neck from behind, and he chokes my neck so tight I was making choking sounds. Quote, I felt like I was going to die, she added. Seconds later, she said Worthy, quote, grabbed the part of my throat that I swallow with, like he was trying to rip it out. He then allegedly threw her on the ground and put his right knee on my throat. I could not breathe, she said. It was on there for more than 10 seconds. Goodness gracious. She said when the altercation finally ended, Worthy, quote, locked me out and let my dog come out. I waited in my car for the police to come. Cops did eventually arrive on the scene and arrested Worthy. He was booked on one charge of assaulting a family slash household member while impeding breath slash circulation. But on Sunday, the district attorney's office stated it was declining the case following a further investigation into the matter. Worthy's attorney said in a statement to TMZ Sports on Thursday, the footballer, quote, denies each of the allegations that were made in this filing. Mr. Worthy maintains his innocence, Chip Lewis and Sam Bassett said, and stands by the conclusions of the district attorney after law enforcement reviews Mrs. Jones' unfounded allegations. A Williamson County judge did grant the temporary order against Worthy on Wednesday. The Chiefs, meanwhile, have said that they're aware of the situation and still gathering information. Man, I mean, goodness gracious. This is a bombing allegation, a insane report that if this ends up being true, Xavier Worthy's never playing football again. Roger Goodell will, I mean, if he can't personally lock him up and throw away the key, he's never playing football again. Now, I will say that the district attorney's office has declined to press the charges, as I read in that article. But we've seen interesting things happen. We've seen cases being reopened. You did hear that Tia Jones did get the restraining order granted. So right now they're not able to, you know, see each other. There's a legal barrier between the two. And if she really is in, you know, if her life's really in jeopardy, this is a good thing. This is a very good thing. But I do want to say, not trying to, discount any of the claims that we just heard. I just want to talk about how this often gets spun to look worse for the celebrity. In this case, Xavier Worthy, a lot of high profile athletes have done some pretty poor things, whether it is, Ray Rice or Adrian Peterson, or, I mean, there's a long list of, Deshaun Watson, and we just heard that, Justin Tucker of the Ravens. There has been so many NFL players that have done heinous things to women, whether it involves sexual violence, domestic violence. You cannot excuse these actions. If these do end up being true, you gotta lock him up. You gotta lock Xavier Worthy up if these end up being true. But we live in a free country, and he is innocent until proven guilty. And this is something that I do not think that we can put too much stock into until the district attorney opens up this case again. Because Xavier Worthy, while these claims of, domestic violence are not good, this isn't something that we can just take at face value right now. They are claims, they are allegations, and until they, open up the case again, these are just horrific, horrific claims. So, Chiefs Kingdom, I want to hear from you guys down in the comment section below. What do you think of this Xavier Worthy drama? I mean, this is insane if it ends up being true. And I'm going to be the first one to say that if it does end up being true, Xavier Worthy should not be playing football. He should not be living life. He should be somewhere in prison if half of these things end up being true. But again, innocent until proven guilty. We have to find out what the legal proceedings end up being. But with these, claims, Xavier Worthy is not exempt from potentially being suspended by the NFL for violating their personal conduct policy, because either way, even if he ends up, being exonerated of all of these charges or allegations, he still was arrested. This is something that the NFL could easily give him a 2 to 4, maybe longer suspension. And so, I mean, this is my initial thoughts and reactions to this article. I was reading it for the first time with you guys. I'm sure this is something that we're going to cover for the next couple days and weeks as we find out what's going on in this situation. But man, just based off that article, not good. Not good at all. So, Chiefs Kingdom, that is all I have for this video. Hit that like button and subscribe to this channel for more daily Chiefs coverage. Until next time, guys, thank you for watching this video. And as always, go Chiefs.